of brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here, at our sea-washed sunset gates, shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned light. And her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep your ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. New Colossus, a poem by Anna Lazarus, which is on the side of the Statue of Liberty, and I think totally sums up our immigration into this country. Hello, good morning. My name is Katie Abbott, and I will be speaking with you about the immigration influx in our country and whether or not the order that President Obama recently passed is for better or for worse. To better explain these orders that Obama has recently passed, I would like to break the speech up into three main parts: the American dream and what that means, President Obama's immigration executive plan, and lastly, what this will mean for all legal American citizens and immigrants alike. I am sure that we have all heard of the American dream at least once in our lives, but I wanted to remind not only myself, but others what that dream consists of. In an article by the Library of Congress, the author explained what the American dream is. Quote, James Turcell Adams, who is known for giving the title The American Dream in his book The Epic of America, which was written in 1931, stated that the American dream is the dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everybody, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement. It is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of a social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain to the fullest stature of which they are innately capable, and be recognized by others for what they are, regardless of the fortuitous circumstances of birth or position. Google defines the American dream as the ideal that every U.S. citizen should have equal opportunity to achieve success and prosperity through hard work, determination, and initiative. To become a United States citizen, there are a lot of hoops to jump through. There's a waiting list and an application process to get a visa and or a green card. After that, there are classes and exams that need to be taken and passed before people are allowed to come into this country and be a United States citizen. I work at a tax office and I see a lot of immigrants that come in, a lot of legal immigrants that come in. And one man that stood out while I was writing this speech came from Venezuela on a work visa. His fiance was back in Venezuela waiting on her visa to come through, and after a couple of years of waiting, she was able to finally come over here and become a U.S. citizen. I said that to say this: the American dream is difficult to achieve, but that does not mean immigrants should bypass our laws and come into our country illegally. Which brings me to my second point: President Obama's executive plan for immigration. Although he announced his executive plan in November, there is still much debate and controversy over it. According to the U.S. News and World Report, Obama stated in a speech on November 20th that he would shield millions, 4.7 million illegal immigrants to be exact, from deportation. His logic behind unveiling this executive action is it would be too hard and too time-consuming to track down all of these millions of illegal immigrants and deport them. So instead of following the law, he has decided to embrace them and not only take away the threat of deportation, but also allow them to stay here and work. 4.7 million American jobs have just gone to legal immigrants. His plan has not only upset politicians all around the country, but it has outraged many legal immigrants as well. Let me put this in a different perspective. Have you ever been driving along on a highway and somebody just comes and cuts you off? No explanation, no blinker, nothing. How mad you feel, or how mad I feel, at least, when that happens, is only a fraction of the anger that legal immigrants feel. Because here they spend years of their time and money and effort trying to get over into this country legally, and here are people coming across the border illegally and cutting in line. Politicians have been debating over this executive order since it came out. One side says the president was well within his presidential order to make this executive order. The other side says he was not. Regardless of my political affiliation, I did some research and took a trip back to my government class days and found out that there are only a few explicitly expressed rights granted to the President from the Constitution. According to the National Paralegal College, the expressed rights to the President are appointment powers, treaty powers, and pocket veto powers. Political figureheads are arguing now that even though it is not said the President can make this executive order, he was well within his rights to do so. I personally am not a fan of how he went about unveiling his executive plan for immigration. The President did not include Congress in his plans. Whether he was within his rights or not, it is still extremely disrespectful for him to go about the plan the way he did, behind everybody's backs, under the table, not saying anything about it. Regardless of anything else that you take away from this speech, I would like you to think about what all of this means to United States citizens, those who were born here and those who migrated here legally. Illegal immigrants are coming here, breaking our laws and looking for preferential treatment, enjoying benefits created for U.S. citizens, and the presidential order is enabling them to continue. No other country allows immigrants to freely or legally enter their country. Immigration laws are not set up to keep honest people from migrating to the U.S. The law is in place to protect our citizens and maintain order within our country. It is a moral and sometimes heart-wrenching decision to return illegal aliens to their country, but it is disrespectful to law-abiding citizens to allow people to illegally come and go across our borders as they please. The reason immigration is such a hot topic now is because of years of poorly enforced laws that have resulted in a huge, massive illegal immigration population. I don't mean to sound like a whiny little kid, but it's not fair, it is not legal, and it is definitely not the American dream. Thank you.
And that's why she was on speech and debate. America.
Yes.
So I fully agree with you, but I love playing devil's advocate. And I actually have heard people say this. And what would you say to the people who say that technically everyone here is an illegal immigrant? And I can already see the eye roll, but what would you say to those people?
I understand that side, and I had a lot of debate writing this, but people who are born here are legal citizens, and people who come here, you can't decide, oh hey, I think I want to move to Canada, just randomly, I just want to walk over here and go to Canada. You can't really do that. You have a process, every country has a process that they go through. So for people to come over here, it's disrespectful for our citizens and other immigrants to just, cross the border, not go through any of our process. If you go to any other country in the world, you have to follow all of their laws. And people who just say oh, well, we were all immigrants, yeah, but we gotta follow our laws. So, yes.
You're very passionate about this topic, and that definitely shines through. So here's my question to you. Were you always this passionate, or was there a certain something that happened to cause you to spin you in this direction?
I've always been this passionate. I watched a documentary when I was a freshman in high school, so it came out in 2010, and it was about Border Patrol, and it was outrageous. That was in 2010, and it was outrageous how many people were, they were showing tunnels of drug trafficking and illegal immigrants coming over. I watch a lot of Criminal Minds, and so they have all kinds of episodes that, illegal immigrants are coming over, and that aggravates me because I'm really? You're going to come here and you're going to destroy our country because you don't like the way your country is, but you're not going to follow any of our laws? I don't have one problem with any race, any ethnicity, nothing. It's just the fact that people come over here and expect handouts. No. Go back to your country, please.
Okay. Galena?
Yes, ma'am.
I was really interested by this speech because last spring break I went with the school to El Paso and we did a border immersion program, and it was really eye-opening for me and very interesting to kind of hear. We were with a Spanish teacher, so we were hearing more of the Hispanic perspective more than our perspective, which was good because you're kind of used to stereotypes and opinions here. And we met a lot of people who were here illegally, and the people that we met, for example, the specific family I met at a church, it was this man who came over, and he did come over illegally, but it was because he had tried for years and years and years to do it legally. And like you said, it could be like a 10 to 12-year process with all the papers that you have to go through, forms you have to fill out and everything. And he was here because his family was so poor, he didn't have enough money to put a meal on the table. He had like 4 kids and a wife. And so he came here legally just to earn money to be either sending back to Mexico or trying to bring his family here. So my question is, how do you feel about people who are here legally, but they're here for good reasons and they're respectful? Like, he's really nice, he works whatever jobs he can, doesn't ask for anything extra, he's here just for his family. Do you feel they're different than others, or do you feel
I'm not. I'm going to sound really I'm going to really sound like heartless, but what I said in my conclusion about how it's a heart-wrenching process. But I'm sorry, but I mean, if we make that exception, there are 10 other people that we have to make exceptions for, millions of other people that we have to make exceptions for. I understand, working, and I understand that it's sad that he doesn't have anything, but again, I mean, if we compromised on that, how many other times would we have to compromise because somebody has a child and they can't feed it? So that's what I think. Yes, ma'am.
Katie, what about the issue, as Kalina was saying, that a lot of illegal immigrants, they are not criminals, they're not murderers, they're law-abiding, they actually pay taxes, and in addition, they also have they are not allowed to take advantage of the social services. So people think that every time you have welfare that they're all illegals. It's not true. Actually, it's more Americans who are actually taking advantage of welfare because they're not eligible. In addition, the foods that we eat, such as the vegetables, illegals pick those. Americans, we're not going to do it because the pay is so low that nobody wants those jobs. So they actually fulfill a need, and we forgot how many people came over. They were transported from their country here because of the needs that the Americans had, and they didn't have people who were going to fulfill those jobs. So how do you feel about that?
It's funny because I just watched a Criminal Minds episode about that, and they had like these camps that were set up in, I think it was California or something.
Yes.
And but I feel like we could come to a compromise and maybe work something out where I'm like a work visa sort of, but I mean it's like faster and come over and like pick things, but. I don't know, I mean, I stand by my firm belief that you need to come over here legally.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make a comment that you're right, there should be a compromise. There should be a major compromise. Because if you think about it, we're all here illegally. This land doesn't belong to us. It belongs to Indians. And everybody that has come to this country were European immigrants. They were immigrated in, and they didn't have to follow any structure or set of rules to get here. They came over here, they took over the land. Germans did, Irish did, you name it. Every race of European has come over here and taken over North America. And with that being said, not to show a good compromise, it just wouldn't be fair, I don't think, to just discriminate against people that's coming across the border that want to come to this country. Because Europeans that came to this country through Ellis Island, there were some discriminations that were made against the poor and the rich. The rich did not have to make any requirements to come into this country whatsoever. They came on the boat and they were brought right in. People that were poor or lower class, those are the ones that were discriminated against. So with that said, I think that anybody that wants to come to this country should be able to come to this country as long as they're following the rules, they're willing to work, and not just trying to take advantage of the system that has been put in place to benefit you once you become of an age where you need to collect benefits.
I understand what you're saying. I'll get right to that, sorry. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not trying to start up a huge debate,
No.
but you know, everybody always wants to say, oh, we took this land from the Indians, and yeah, you know, we did, but we all became American citizens when the United States of America was born. That is how I look at it. That is, I mean, you're an American citizen, so, you know, you have your opinion and I have mine, but I think, I mean, you can't just illegally go into somebody else's country. That does not happen anywhere else.
We did.
Yeah, but now you cannot go into somebody, I mean, everybody has rules and regulations. So for them to say, I mean, you know, it just, okay, doesn't.
Of your research, I agree with you. Of your research, did you find how do you say, our security? How much of those immigrants coming over and how many more maybe coming over by way of whichever way they're coming, where putting our country in a security problem, the way the world is today?
I did some research and I know a little bit about like the border crisis, but I wasn't trying to like go and like research all of the border crisis. I was just trying to do his immigration plan.
Okay.
But no, ma'am, I didn't. Yes.
I think we can agree that we've kind of come to the conclusion that the biggest obstacle of legally immigrating into the country is money and time, mainly time. In your research, are there any solutions you came across to streamline this process, to ease this process?
There are not, but you know, Tyler said something that sorry, but like about the bridge workers, like hire more people. So I think that we should hire more people to do, because I mean, there's millions of illegal immigrants over here. There's millions of people waiting to get into this country. So yes, I do think that we need to come to some form of compromise and, you know, hire more people to do research on this and fix it. But
And would that be
Katie,
by-
I'm sorry, Jonathan, we're going to go to Aaron. I see Amanda's outside, so I wanted to go to Ian and then have an opportunity to get Amanda to come in. So Aaron will take your last question and then we'll move on.
I just wanted to make a comment over the fact that, how several people have already stated how, you know, we just came in and, you know, kind of invaded and took over the land from the Indians. I believe that the Indians at this point, you know, we came in, sure, we made compromises, traded supplies and everything, but at one point there were fights between the Indians, and I believe that we basically took over this land through fighting and moving them across the nation through manifest destiny. And I believe that is no different than if another country were to say, come and declare war on the United States, defeat the United States, and then take it over and claim it as its property.
I totally agree with that, and I was gonna say that, you know, I mean, everybody else was expanding their borders, everybody else was expanding during that time, so, you know, I mean, it's survival of the fittest.
Thank
And
you.
I mean, that